The following content has been provided by RWTH Aachen University.
Okay, so then around also in the 1980s, OSF Motif appeared, which was basically a Windows system and complete sort of GUI toolkit to build graphical user interfaces on Unix, based on the X Windows system, which is also a very curious and interesting graphical user interface system because it's actually running on your Linux box today, right? In a sort of improved variant, but it brought the graphical user interface to the Unix world, and especially the Motif development toolkit really helped improve how to work with it because it brought back the idea of an object-oriented toolkit, which is kind of weird because the Alto Star had that, and then it kind of got thrown out with Windows and a Mac, and then Motif brought it back. OSF stands for the Open Software Foundation, which was neither open nor a foundation really, but the name sounded cool at the time. Again, we'll hear more about that in DIS2. And this is not the first version of OSF Motif running on top of X Windows, running on top of Unix. It's a later version. Now, you won't be able to read much on this slide here, and I'm sorry about that, but you'll be able to see more of this in the handout. What I would like to point out here, this is a wonderful little graph that somebody created a couple years ago on the lineage of visual computing systems, like how did systems evolve from each other? Because hardly any of these systems, none of these systems really start from scratch. They're all either inspired by something else or actually built on the very technology, very concretely, of something else. I think I mentioned this before. If you look into Word today, people are still there's still rumors that there's parts of the code from the original Bravo editor that was running on the Alto Star is still around in Microsoft Word today. So there's this movement of people, like from one research project to a company that then inspire how that company builds their products. And there's movement of technology, or at least ideas. And some lines I want to point out here. For example, we talked about the Memex. Remember the microfilm-based vision of from the article "As We May Think" by Vannevar Bush in the 1940s. And the Memex is sort of the root of almost all of this, if you think about it. So basically, all the today's Windows, today's graphical operating systems, some way or other, trace back to the Memex. And then you see Sketchpad and NLS. There's Sketchpad and there's NLS as the two main sort of resource or systems that were inspired directly by this, and that then themselves created a whole lot of systems. An interesting path is also to see how we get from the NLS, the online system, to the Alto Star, to the Star here, and the Alto, and from there on we can get basically directly to the Mac, for example, or to other systems that were around then at the time. Right? There's the Lisa and there's the Mac. Also interesting to see the Star, of course, also influenced Windows, which then got improved. You see this kind of ends at Windows XP, so this needs to be updated for what happened in the last couple of years. The Star being an inspiration for Windows, of course, as well. The Smalltalk actually, as a language, up here, that was basically the thing that ran the Alto, which really later then also inspired the development of Java, if you look at it closely. So Smalltalk as a leading to Oak, and that leading to Java. And there's also the thing that I mentioned, the Bravo editor, which was basically influencing the Bravo X system, and then leading up to essentially also Microsoft Word and things like this. And there's even a trace down to HTML and those kinds of languages here. The Bravo, by the way, also influencing things like mobile devices like the Palm or something like this, Palm OS. So, and you can see sort of the Mac thing kind of leads up to Mac OS. The next step kind of splits off here, and then they come back together in OS 10. All right, so take a look at this one in more detail, and you can actually read it in the handout maybe.
This content was provided by RWTH Aachen University.